and it's their country that they'll be living in long after the older ones are gone. And I think to some degree that's a very important point here. What Erdogan wants to avoid, let me put it this way, he wants to avoid acting the way the Shah acted in Iran and the way Mubarak acted in Egypt. He wants to build bridges and not make enemies with the next generation. It's their country, and the older, and I've had this problem here in the US, I've made the same point all over Europe as well. The old have to stop treating the young. The old should start listening to the young and respecting the young. And I think that is a critical point in Turkey today. I agree with that part of what my colleague said from Turkey right now. And I think it's a problem in many countries around the world.
So if we do believe, Mr. Bakshi, that Erdogan is trying to keep the Turkish population in favor of himself and ruling at least with the appearance of a democracy, why are we seeing the suppression, for instance, on journalism? We're hearing the suppression that human rights activists or lawyers have been facing in Turkey, as well as the fact that a lot of people are speaking about the ties between politicians and business as well. I mean, the mayor of Turkey, we're hearing, was the owner of a retail chain in the planned mega shopping mall that was expected to be set up in Taksim, and Erdogan's son-in-law is even believed to have backed the contract for the development of that mall. So do you think these are all factors that are eroding trust between the government and the people?
This is right. Tayyip Erdogan is trying to play the role of modern Robin Hood, getting from the rich people and giving to the poor. This is his policy in the last 10 years. Even today, he was talking about the poor people who have been rejected by the system, but since he is in power, it is changing. He is the person who is defending the people who experienced unjust, and those who rule the country or ruled the country, they have done unjust. Now he is the one who is saving them. This policy, this philosophy has been very valuable maybe in the last 10 years, but not for the new generation, not for the new Turkey. I think he has to understand that he is the prime minister. He has the responsibility to manage the country, not to intervene in the personal life of the people or dictate to young people how they are going to shape their future. The biggest problem, or the new in it, is that the values of democracy and the values of authoritarian Islamist values are conflicting here. They are clashing here. So Tayyip Erdogan is a democratically elected leader, no doubt about it. The government is legitimate, no doubt about it. But the way, after 11 years, that he is getting more and more authoritarian, probably is also tired biologically, but also intellectually, that the country is overwhelming challenges, problems he cannot deal with anymore, with this type of thinking and with this type of understanding. I think this police versus protesters confrontation is a political mismanagement. There was no need for this, and I think Turkey is going to be more in tension the more Mr. Erdogan is not changing his style of rhetoric. So I think some people here in Turkey, they try now to advise him not to go on the confrontational policy.
Well, something else that Erdogan has been doing, if I could just jump in here, Mr. Bakshi, and I'll put this one to Mr. Badovsky. We are hearing Erdogan encouraging his supporters also to come out and rally. We saw his supporters coming out outside of the airport when he arrived from Africa recently. So do you think this policy is going to help? I mean, what if those supporters get involved in clashes now with the anti-government protesters and things get out of control, like we saw, for instance, in Egypt?
Well, yeah, it's definitely okay if he wants to ask his supporters to rally, but it's dangerous if he pits his supporters rallying against the opposition. Again, what he needs to do, and he has time. He has a legitimate government, but legitimate governments can lose their legitimacy by their behavior. He needs to reach out and touch and talk to and listen to, especially the young people, but all of the people in the opposition. It shouldn't be my guns are bigger than your guns, or my numbers can beat up your numbers. It should be my ideas have to battle your ideas about ideas, and we have to work together to some degree to coexist. Otherwise, everybody all over Turkey and all over the region is going to end up poor, at war, and dead. And that's not good for anybody. So he has time. But he needs to reach out, and he needs to reach out soon, and he needs to do a better job than he's doing as we're sitting here discussing it right now.
Mr. Brent Podolsky in Washington, a columnist with the Hill newspaper, thank you very much for being with us. And also in Ankara, Professor of International Relations with the Middle East University, Mr. Hossein Bakshi. We have run out of time. Thank you very much for staying with us on another edition of The Debate. From me, Homa Lezgi, until our next program, it's goodbye.